workshop, recreation and community service, followed by our closed session, which is conference with labor negotiator pursuant to government code section 54957.6. And we also have item 2, which is conference with legal counsel and litigation. Item 3, conference with legal counsel with existing litigation. And 4, real property negotiation. So at this point, I'm going to open up the public communication. So anyone wishing to speak, please state your name. You have approximately 3 minutes. So this is the public. Anyone wishing to speak? Okay, see no interest, and I'll declare the public communication closed. At this point, we'll go ahead and go over to the second unit code amendment. Community development. So who's that? Oh, Amy. Thank you, Amy. Oh, yeah. Look this here.
This is a continuation, continue from January 21st. This is the same memo fact sheet that we provided back then. And what it is it provides a brief overview of what our current second dwelling unit development standards are. I believe the reason why this came about is at the request of the mayor. I believe you had received an inquiry from a resident about it. But just to give you a brief overview of our second unit development standards is we do allow them within our R1 zone. And it can be on any size lot, provided that you meet the development standards, the setbacks, the open space, etc. We do classify second units as an accessory use in the R1 zone because you have your primary use as your larger, single family dwelling unit. Your second dwelling unit is supposed to be smaller. It can have kitchen facilities. There is a maximum floor area of 1,000 square feet, minimum of a 1-car garage. However, most people do provide a 2-car garage on the ones that we've seen submitted. And you do have to have similar architectural characteristics as the front house. Pretty much what we didn't want to see was that you have this big giant back house and this little itty bitty front house, which is what we were seeing before our code was overhauled beginning back in 2002 and ending in 2012. So that's pretty much where we are at currently with our second dwelling unit development standards. Now, this is not to say that someone could not add on to their front house, make it larger. It's just the back house would need to meet the minimum, not exceed what's allowed for the code.
So would that mean that a house in the front still has a certain setback?
Yes.
Depending on
Yeah.
the neighborhood?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the front yard setback is 20 feet for the front yard right now. So any type of either new dwelling unit or addition onto the front of the dwelling unit would have a setback of 20 feet.
Are there conditions where if I added to the front of my house to 20 foot, that other homes that are already existing would be?
That's part of our design guidelines. What we do is we try to keep a uniform plane down the street as opposed to in, out,
Right.
in, out. That's part of our design guidelines.
Okay, so it says currently permitted within the R1 zone
Yes.
as an accessory use. What does
Right.
that mean in your language? What does that mean in terms?
What that means is that if you look at the development standards, like for example, a second dwelling unit could only be 1,000 square feet. In the back, that's a lot smaller than what would be allowed as the front primary unit, which could be, what you've seen around town, 2,000, 2,500 square feet.
Okay.
Now, okay, so can we modify it to item number 5, the second dwelling unit shall not exceed 1 bedroom with a maximum allowable floor area of 1,000 square feet? Can we maybe add that to 1,200 square feet?
We can. One of the things that we would want to look at as, in my opinion, would also want to look at increasing the required amount of parking. Maybe instead of a 1-car garage, go to a 2-car garage if you're going to increase the floor area. Obviously, typically you think with an increase in floor area, you're going to have more people and everybody's got a car.
Out of curiosity, as it says, 2 dwelling units shall not exceed 1 bedroom. So we're talking about a 1 bedroom?
No, the second dwelling unit could not exceed 1 bedroom. Correct.
Can we increase that to 2?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, wait a minute, because you could find a a 1,000 square feet home with, two bedrooms.
You could from back in the day,
Right,
you know,
right.
post World War II,
Super
you see
small.
that.
But I mean, give me the thought process,
You're
why,
making
why,
them in the new
why did you
apartments.
pick one
You're
bedroom?
making
What we were looking at is what we wanted to do is we wanted the second dwelling unit to be accessory. We didn't want it to overshadow the primary unit, and it's supposed to be smaller, it's supposed to be accessory. Yes, but it does have kitchen facilities, which is one of the primary differences between a dwelling unit and a guest house. And what we also wanted to do is we didn't want to really put additional pressure on providing services such as parking, or actually outside services such as, you know, available parks and rec space. You know, because as you know, the larger space you have, typically you do have more people, and that increases, you know, your pressure on other services.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right,
So, let me just ask, I mean, a different situation. So let's say I have a home that already has one bedroom, one bath, it's a small house. And then I wanna add this second unit, and it's gonna have 2 bedrooms and a kitchen. How does that apply to the rules? Would I have to make my primary existing house larger than the accessory one?
In
How
order
would you
to
look
have a
at that?
second dwelling unit, your first unit would need to be brought up to current code. For example, let's say you have a 4-bedroom house and you only have 1,100 square feet. For a 4-bedroom house, the current code requires 1,300 square feet. So you would need to add on an additional 200 square feet to your front house. Another example would be, is that if your front house doesn't have an enclosed garage, we would require you to add a 2-car 20 by 20 garage to your front house to bring it up to current code.
Okay, so let's say I have a 3-bedroom house, I don't know, 1,500 square feet,
Okay,
and I add another 2 bedrooms.
5 bedrooms.
Okay, so what does that do to my car space?
You would need a 2-car garage, 20 by 20 clear, and another garage or carport space.
And if my lot's too small, I can't do it?
Yes, we do. After your primary garage requirement has been met, we do not allow carports in the R1 zone as your primary car parking facility.
The reason I'm asking is because a while back, I guess there was some complaints about some people that wanted to do carports and they said that they couldn't anymore. That's why I was asking.
Right, you need the garage first, and then you can,
so this particular parcel on Atlantic, Zone 1, so they built a home in the back, obviously with this current policy, ordinance, at 1,000 square feet. So they have to also do modifications to the home up front?
if it does not meet the current code requirements, yes. So for example, if they don't have a garage for the front house, we would require them to build a 2-car 20 by 20 garage. Yeah, I don't.
So, Amy, what are you asking here? You're just like informing us and?
Hey, this was
Well-
brought at the request of the mayor.
Yeah, you know what I did, Councilor Ricardo Pacheco, I brought it up, went over to see this property, it's huge, and yes, we don't wanna get into the flag lot, part, but if you get an opportunity to tour this, super huge, I mean,
Yeah.
it could fit a 2,000 square feet property in the backside, but of course, it would overwhelm the front one, I understand that. But is there a possibility, and I guess it would be up to the council, is to go from 1,000 to say 1,200 square feet?
Yeah.
There's more of a deep.
From what?
Okay, so, what's
From
that?
1,300 to 1,200?
Yeah, no, from a current 1,000 to 1,300 square feet. So we would restrict it to 2 bedrooms, you say?
Actually, no, you can either restrict by the number of bedrooms, and if you restrict by the number of bedrooms, then the zoning code will dictate what the size is. Or you could restrict by a certain square foot, you can say 1,300, and then they can subdivide how they want it.
Then let's do 1,300, sounds better.
Well, wait a minute, why don't we go by size of bedroom?
What's that?
That's better, size of bedroom.
Well,
I
have
that
a
on me?
question. What size is the front of the house?
I was just gonna say, I don't know what.
I don't know the answer to that.
But the size of the front house at this point doesn't really matter, because once the zoning code is changed, it will apply to every property
Right.
in the city, regardless of the size of the front.
Right.
I have a statement. and I know we've talked about this issue in length, and one of my concerns was, and it, and I understand that you're trying to, it's one person, we try to help people individually, but I think we have to think of the big impact, Baldwin Park is one of the most saturated,
True.
cities. I mean, you can't even put a car sometimes in the back because they're like almost on top of each other, the back house, the front house, and I think that we need to preserve some of the open space, and I know that they have a big lot, but as much as we want to accommodate them, then you have all these other people that might fit that same criteria, and then we're basically giving up the only open space we have, and that's, again, more cars, more pollution, that's parking on the street, it's just, it's a bigger issue, not just that one house, and as much as, like I said, I want to combine, I want to help, but we have to look at the big picture.
My problem is the parking situation, only because, and I understand that economically, more and more people are either renting out their rooms or bringing family members to live with them, because it's more cost effective. And with that, you've got 3, 4, 5 cars per household, and it gets to the point, like even my street, I mean, that's a one-way street now. Well, I mean, during the day it's okay, but after 4 o'clock, I mean, you have to wait for the car, and then you go like this, and then someone else. So, and I know that a lot of the streets are like that, and that's my only concern, is that how many more cars are we gonna see piled on our streets?
Yeah, so that's.
So what are you asking me to?
Well, what I'm asking is, will 1,300 square feet make a major impact?
Within the R1 zone, the minimum square footage for a 3-bedroom house is 1,200 square feet.
So 1,300 would go to.
You could do a 3-bedroom house.
Let's do 1,300. I don't think it's
Okay.
overwhelming. It's not a 2,000 square or 2,500 square feet home. I think it would do that. So what do we need?
Yeah, I'm good
I
with
don't
that
that.
know.
okay?
If I may,
Oh, that's fine,
because
that's
only because, I think I would like to more like analyze the city in general, because I know there's a lot of lots out there. Olivas is old, do you guys remember Olivas'
That's a
home, the big lot? There's a lot that we're not aware of, like I know Jack White's lot, and so what happens once we change this, and then it invites 7 more homes to be converted, and again, as she was sharing, like the traffic, the cars that come with it, the pollution, and again, less open space, less greenery. I don't know if it's the best choice. I have to express my concern about the saturation of cars, and then you have 3, 4 families living back, and I'm not
You know what, Mayor,
implying that your
can we
friend
bring
is,
this
but.
back
All right.
at the next meeting?
Yeah,
I mean,
for this,
I just
yeah.
think that we need
I was gonna
a
say,
little more
not to say
information.
no, but can we
Well-
just look into those other homes?
On the north side of town.
I mean,
Just
I guess what I wanna see is the lot that you're talking about, and have more information so I can make.
South,
Okay.
I wanna see.
All right.
Above.
I'll get everyone the
on
address.
South of Nubia.
Okay.
Yeah, unless, is there an urgency there?
No. The family's been there for
Oh,
35 some odd
We'll
years.
go visit and
Yeah,
see.
definitely visit. It's huge, deep lot. All
okay.
right. Okay, so at this point, yes.
Specific, you want us to do it for the next.
No, maybe bring pictures of the lot,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, bring us a layout of the lot, where it's located, what
And,
the,
and also what's around there, what is the neighborhood? I know what the neighborhood looks like, more or less like near Arrow Highway.
Yes.
But just to see, what does the neighborhood look like? What type of, I know that they're most of those, what do they call those houses that were built right after the Korean War? Like ones with Greasy and Cutler. There was a certain name for them, and they put in Greasy and Cutler and those streets. Those were built like in the 50s. So, just kind of like a ranch style, but, they're all like, they built a lot of them here in Baldwin Park. Right.
Okay.
All right, okay, so thank you very much.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
May I suggest we go into closed session and discuss labor negotiations, because I know those could get pretty lengthy,
You wanna do that, and we'll come back?
and we'll come back to the other one,
You wanna go to the labor negotiation first, then we'll come back to the city events workshop recreation.
Yeah.
Services. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna ask everyone to please vacate, the room. We're gonna go to a closed session. Thank you, sorry about that, everyone.
Oh, now you're ready to do
No, next one.
Oh.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, we'll go through this quickly. Just need about 10 minutes. And, let's see here. Well, I'm gonna be talking about, a little bit about seven special events. And the first one is the state of the city. The average attendance is about 300 people, and the cost is slightly over $6,000. And those are some of the expenditure, staff, breakfast, speechwriter, teleprompter, and so on. And at the conclusion, we'll spend a little bit of time discussing the events. We have Easter egg hunt, which is a very popular event, probably well over 2,000 participants. And as you can tell from the image, it's very well attended. Concerts in the park, proposing to add a few concerts, and they are 3 additional concerts. I'm looking at possibly adding 2 concerts in June. The kids get out of school the first week of June. So 2 in June, as well as the week of 4th of July, and we would continue through all of July.
We're gonna have 4th of July.
Well, that's on the list as well. Then we have the 4th of July spectacular, and those are the costs. We have probably about 7,500 residents attending the event. And moving on to the Halloween Fest, that's another very well attended event, a healthy and safe alternative. And we have our Southway Baldwin Park Parade. It's been coordinated, or we've had the parade in the first Saturday in November. I've heard some council discussion that they would possibly like to have a holiday parade. So that's an option. As I was researching a little bit about the parade, I found out that it's an anniversary parade, and the city was incorporated in late January. So if council wished.
The 60th, is that what we're saying?
And it's just the annual parade. I'm not sure
Oh,
on which year. And I think we're incorporated in 59, 56?
56.
Okay, 56.
Next year.
The 60th. Wow.
Okay. And then the popular downtown street market, average attendance is well over 2,500, and that's the cost. 42,000 is the cost for 7 weeks, and all the different costs and the options of starting on August 6th, going through September 17th, and the September 17th would culminate with the Mexican Independence Day. And I think the events that we need immediate direction would be the concerts in the park. I'm proposing adding 3 concerts. And we also have the 4th of July Spectacular. It does have a big price tag of $33,000. And please keep in mind the cost for each of these events also reflects money that we would be generating, as well as anticipated sponsorship. So these are the costs that we would need. The FY, or the fiscal year 14-15, is the allocation that we would need in this existing fiscal year, and the remainder of the monies could be budgeted next fiscal year.
I have a question for you,
Yes.
Danny. Are you done with your presentation?
Yes, I am pretty much done. The remainder of the events could be budgeted for the following year.
The concerts at the park, do you get subsidized by the musicians union?
Yes, we apply every year, and we traditionally are funded for 1 free concert through the Musicians Trust Fund.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure, because I know that that's always available, and I wanted to ask you, and I never
Yeah,
had.
but also keep in mind, some of the musicians want to get compensated a little bit more. So sometimes we need to make an outside contract to compensate them a little bit more than what they call at the union scale.
And how many concerts are you proposing total?
We have 4 in the existing budget, and I am proposing 3 additional concerts. We would have 2 in June, and 1 4th of July weekend, and then we would continue through all of July, and then we would conclude our concerts in the end of July, and then August 6th, we would start up with the downtown street market and go for 7 weeks, and conclude with our last one on the 17th of September, which we would, that would be our Mexican Independence Day. We're already in the works of negotiating to get a carnival in town. I would probably need the council's help with, I believe his name is Dr. Cowan, the gentleman that owns, to put it there. I would like a amateur boxing show, as well as the very popular
Wrestling.
Lucha Libre. we would
How was
want.
that turn out?
Oh, it was,
Incredible.
You know,
it was
Standing
amazing.
room only. Oh,
that was nice.
Amazing.
unbelievable. They ran out of all the food. They ran out of nachos like 3 times.
So it was standing room, literally, standing room only. It was a great show. So we have a lot of options here. I think the events that we have up on the screen right now, we could probably wait till next fiscal year. But the events we need some direction right now would be the concerts in the park, 4th of July Spectacular, and the downtown street market. The one item unique about the downtown street market is that we do have access to some funds, which is the Business Improvement District Fund, the BID. So there is a funding source. No, not necessarily.
I would really want to advocate for the parade to be included in this. And as I look at the three that are listed here, I think that the parade is a unique event. And I'm looking at Constitution Park, 4th of July Spectacular downtown. Those are all wonderful events, very family oriented. But where is the youth in there? And the parade is so important to our community, like I mentioned in the past, because it brings all of our youth out. And we have participation from all the junior highs, all the high schools, also different elementaries, I don't know, I'm not sure about that, and then our Recon Park programs.
Yes.
And, you know, I mean, having grown up here in the city, I just know that it's such an important event for our youth. And it's, I know when we had to cut back, the two that I heard the most about were the 4th of July Spectacular and the parade. And people were just so upset that those two had been cut. So I'd really like to advocate that for this year. You know, I kind of see the concerts in the park and the downtown street market as a little more of the same. And is there any way that we can squeeze in a youth program in there?
Well, remember we've spoken that maybe incorporating the parade with a Christmas parade, where, you know, like I think Councilmember Rubin did too, where it would be the parade towards the end of the evening, like a lot of the, like La Puente has and Colina. It would be towards the end of the evening, we could incorporate our marching bands and so forth from the high schools and our youth programs, the kids that dance and all that, and then come to do the tree lighting.
That leads into the tree lighting.
Yes, we could coordinate something like that if we wanted to
So it'd be like a weekend.
the theme of the parade.
Well, it could be during the week, because other cities have, well, Colina has it on Saturday evening, but I know La Puente had it like on a Thursday or something, or Wednesday this past year.
But the only thing is, what happens, the uniqueness of having it on the weekend, it brings all those bands throughout the county, and then they participate at one of the high schools.
The travel time
That's
is a
usually
little bit of
November.
an issue, but we do, well, I have to double check with Service to High School, but they would have Battle of the Bands, I think it was called, and a lot of the bands would show up to our parade, and they would make it a full day, they would barbecue, and then they would go to Service to High School for the competition in the evening.
And that event takes place in November.
But we're running out of time.
Well, and I have a question though too, because I know it's easy to say let's have this and let's have that, but I want us to be mindful that we just approved contracts and we're gonna take a big impact all at once, you know, so, and you know, as we all know, we put something on, it's very difficult to say next year, oh my God, it didn't work, look at our funding, so I don't know if we need to slow it down just a little, just because we don't know that impact yet, you know, look at all our contracts and all that being negotiated and approved. Like I really would like to take just a little bit more time versus like tonight and, you know, putting it out there. I don't know, I would feel more comfortable like having a bigger analysis, like I like the idea of the parade. And honestly, the reason I like the downtown street only because it's not general funds, it's, you know, through the district funding. Like the 4th of July Spectacular, I mean, it's really expensive. And we discuss how we can cut back, you know, half still the fireworks and so see, that's what I mean, it takes time to negotiate these little items versus saying yes or no, I don't want to
Then
do
let's do that, let's bring all this back and add the actual parade as well. We can look at it.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe 4th of July, maybe we don't need all the little gain things in, right?
No, and I was also thinking though, because I always think of staff and just in general, I was thinking if, if it's the 4th of July, we can make it a little shorter window, because I know we go from the morning to all the way at night to see the whole spectacular.
Like Irwindale does.
Yeah, I was thinking like, let's say, 6, to see the versus, and like that, our staff can, I'm not saying probably would have time, but people could go enjoy their time with their families on 4th of July and then come and do the city stuff,
And also not as many fireworks, because I keep using Irwindale as an example, because for a long time, they didn't, and I believe that Athens funds on the 4th of July now, but it is half of the show that they used to have before.
Okay.
It's not the same, I mean, it's over like in 10 minutes or whatever. So, and that's fine, I mean,
Yes.
okay.
So
Okay, so
again, so
we'll
like
bring
I
this
said, I
back.
would like to bring it back where we could really negotiate and talk about it versus saying yes or no, and then, we may not all be satisfied with what's left, so I wanna take time to talk about it.
And it's on the open agenda,
Yes.
then you can give that physical correction to them.
All right.
Okay, you guys mind if I do that?
No,
Because
let's do
I
it.
just- I really think we need to discuss
Get
it.
down.
Okay, thank you.